Hello everyone, welcome to our Monday motivation edition of Follow the Reader. I'm really excited to be speaking with you. I hope you had a phenomenal weekend. Thank you so much for showing so much love to all the guests last week. We had so many phenomenal ideas, insights, wisdom, experiences together. I'm really happy that you were tuned in and joining us. And again today, I have a very special guest that I'm about to reveal to you in a few moments. So I hope you're going to be tuning in from wherever you are in the world. If you want to shout out, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. It's brilliant to have so many of you tuning in globally to hear about positivity, motivation, how we can all change our lives and make an impact in the lives of other people. So if you're looking for a community to change the world with, to learn with, to grow with, to evolve with, this is the place to be. You're tuning into that right now. I'm really excited to welcome our very special guest today. He's a best-selling author. He's an amazing humanitarian, an amazing activist. He's also a photographer and also happens to have been a monk for the last 40 years. Some of you may have seen his TED Talk. Some of you may have heard of him speak about and written about him being at Davos. And some of you may have also heard about the amazing work he's done at the United Nations. So if you have, or even if you haven't, I'd love to welcome to our show, Matthieu Ricard. And thank you so much for being here, Matthew.
Hello, everyone in the world. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's so grateful to have you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, welcome.
Today specifically, we're focusing on his new book, A Plea For The Animals. It's available right now. We'll put the link on Amazon to the book in the comment section. So if you'd like to order the book, if it's something that you're interested in, the topics that we'll be discussing, you can order it live right now in the comment section. It's called A Plea For The Animals. I'm sure you all love animals. Let me know who your favorite animals are. We'll be talking about them. You've done some amazing things in your life, incredible things. You also graduated from your PhD, your postgraduate, in 1972 in cell genetics. Is that right?
That's right.
I mean, absolutely unbelievable CV. I don't think I've ever seen a resume like this before. And you were also, on top of all of that, you are known to be the happiest man in the world.
That's vastly exaggerated.
Can you explain that story around how that came about?
That's a big joke, but it's a joke that began in a lab in Madison, Wisconsin with Richard Davidson, who is a well-known neuroscientist who is studying the effect of meditation on the brain. And at that time, we were studying the effect of compassion and loving kindness. What does it do to your brain when you engage in powerful loving kindness for all sentient beings? And it turns out that this is, among all meditative states, the one that triggers the strongest activation in certain areas of the brain connected with positive affect, with a sense of affiliation, of belonging. So in a way, different areas of the brain connected with well-being. So okay, that was one guy, and then we got 20 more long-term meditators who had similar results. So now, from there to jump from the happiest person in the world, there's a big, but still, there was a journalist from a British newspaper who picked up the story and then made it title, front page, meet Mr. Happy, the happiest man in the world has been found. Okay, it's now sticking to me. It was everywhere, the Bangkok Morning Post, the Brazilian newspaper, out of control.
Yes.
So I made some disclaimers, apologized to my scientist friend, no avail. So it's sticking to me like a piece of scotch tape. But it's better than to call that the unhappiest man in the
Exactly,
world.
It's not a bad title.
And then the secret is anyone can be the happiest man or woman in the world if you look for happiness in the right place.
Amazing. And that's what I definitely want to talk about today from you, so that we can learn that from you, whether out of your modesty and humility, whether you are the happiest man or not. It's an amazing title to have.
It's impossible to check. I'm not too unhappy, but this doesn't make sense. How can you know about the state of happiness of 7 billion human beings?
Definitely, we like having number ones and number hundreds now. So I wanted to start with this. I definitely wanted to talk about your book. We will definitely dive into mindfulness, meditation, neuroscience, because you've got a phenomenal scientific background as well. But I wanted to start off talking about this book, A Plea for Animals. If you're tuning in right now, this book is available right now on Amazon. Now, you speak very honestly in this book, about how compassion toward all beings is something that any forward-thinking evolutionary society should actually be valuing, and it should be important. Can you expand on that for us?
Well, if you think of evolution and Darwin, everybody speaks of the struggle for life, the survival of the fittest, but Darwin placed great accent on cooperation and on kindness. And he even said that a group of people who will display compassion toward each other, and even said who could extend that to other species, will have a strong sort of advantage for survival to compare to a group of uncooperative, selfish people. So that's for evolution, I think, is a clear sign. Now, I think what is mostly the real need is like this. Now, we made extraordinary progress in civilization over the last few centuries. Now, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, abolition of slavery and torture and so forth. But still, although now we agree that you cannot put a price tag on someone's life in terms of value. No, you are not, I can't say you values $45,000, and another guy is $100,000 or just a few hundred. Doesn't make sense. So, but when it comes to animals, basically it's zero, unless it is useful to us, or it's commercial value or sentimental value, but no intrinsic value. Basically we say, 8 million other species, and we can do what we want. It's in our hands, they belong to us. What do you mean? Why should they belong to us? They have their own life, they don't want to suffer, they don't, so this makes no sense if you think about it. So that means we pretend to be moral beings, ethical beings, and yet we have this huge gap. Our ethics is fundamentally incoherent until we extend compassion, we include other sentient beings in compassion. And it doesn't take more energy. Mm-hmm. It's just the quality of our compassion is more embracing. To be well intention toward other sentient beings doesn't diminish your love for your children and for other beings. Actually, your love is of better quality. You will love better everybody, including animals.
Amazing. So it's all about enhancing that love as opposed to restricting it. It's not that if we start putting it over there, we'll run out of it.
It's basically like the sun who would say, no, I can only shine on these few people there. That's all. It's too much. So few rays, bit coldish, not so clear, not so. But if sun shines everywhere, then everybody can get warm, can get light. And what's wrong with that?
Amazing. You speak about this very openly and honestly at the beginning of the book. You talk about your own realization. Can you tell us a bit about that, of how you came to this realization personally?
Sure. I was not, I hope I'm a little bit more compassionate, but I was not always like that. When I was a kid, I had a very loving grandmother and she was going fishing. So I thought, if my loving grandmother goes fishing, what could be wrong? Then my father, we were in Mexico for a few years, took me to bullfights, all the music, the beautiful dress of the toreadors, and I thought, wow, very impressive for a young child. So, but at no moment, I tried to imagine, imagine that I would be taken with the iron hook from the air where I can breathe into water. So, not very good, yes. So now, similarly, that's what the fish happened. They sort of agonizing on the dry land. So basically, you don't want to think. You don't want to imagine. And I remember a quote from Kafka, the great writer. He says about war. War is a prodigious lack of imagination. You don't put yourself in the shoes of, or if I may say, of fishes and animals. They don't have much shoes, by the way. It's not a very good example. But you don't, what it could be. Why? They don't want to suffer. Who wants to suffer in this world? Even little worm escapes suffering. Of course, more evolved animals like rabbits, turtle, cows, pigs, wild animals, antelopes, they just want to try to be alive. Nobody likes to have a knife stab in your stomach, to have your neck cut or get stunned by a bullet in your head, and then go on the production line in the slaughterhouse where sometimes they start to cut them when they are still conscious and alive. Why would anyone in the world sort of go towards that instead of running away from this terrible suffering? So we just have to acknowledge that. And then once you become aware of that, then naturally your actions, words, worldview will be different.
Absolutely amazing. I can see many of your comments resonating and agreeing with what we're hearing from Matthieu here. We have a comment here and a question from Kevin. And I like it because I think it will resonate with what you're speaking about. Today we hear everyone saying more meditation, more mindfulness, but Kevin's saying, can you give your thoughts of when someone begins to feel the effect of meditation on their life? What signs are there to look out for in their own life and in life? Is this one of them?
Well, first of all, like any training, learning how to read and write, to do a sport, to play a musical instrument, to run, to jogging, everything requires training. The magic bullet, 3 days, 5 minutes every day, you'll get magic effects. Just forget about that. It's like I'm going to play the piano by tapping with few fingers 15 seconds every 2 weeks. No way. So it is training. It is familiarizing your mind with caring mindfulness, with loving kindness, with compassion, with more focused attention. So if you do that again and again, not only 5 seconds, but 10 minutes, 20 minutes, very soon you will see the change. So the neuroscientists tell you that brain neuroplasticity, that means the faculty that the brain has to change when exposed to new situation or going through some training process, it starts immediately, but in a very, very microscopic way. So the more you do it, you can really see the sign of change in the brain, say after 2-3 months. You see structural change in the brain. Some areas of the brain are more dense, sometimes bigger. It's like the muscles, You do that 100 times every day, your muscle will grow, like that. So it takes time, and it's more and more stable, and the effect is more and more pronounced with time. Now, what is the effect, the benefit? It depends what you train in. If you train on focused attention, mindfulness, you'll be more mindful, more attentive. It doesn't mean that you'll be more compassionate.
I see.
There was a recent study conducted with 300 subjects over 1 year. And they did 3 months of mindfulness meditation, 3 months of compassion meditation, loving kindness, and 3 months of perspective taking, imagining what the other feels. And each time you do those 3 months, you get better at that skill, not the other ones. So 3 months of mindfulness does not increase your prosocial behavior. Perspective taking, you know better what others feel, what others think, a little bit increase your prosocial behavior. Loving kindness meditation, huge increase. So you will get the benefit of what you are training in. That's it.
Makes perfect sense.
If you train in ping pong, you will not get better at football.
Completely. I love that. It's such a simple explanation for all of us. But the mindfulness and meditation that you're practicing, it's specific to the benefit that you're going to gain.
So therefore, I'm a strong advocate of caring mindfulness. You get 2 for the price of 1.
There you go.
Because to be compassionate, you have to be mindful.
Yes.
But you could be mindful without being compassionate.
Wow.
So let's infuse the mindfulness with just be mindful of infinite benevolence, infinite love, infinite kindness. Let it fill your mind. Keep your attention in the present moment on compassion. If you are distracted, come back to it. If it dims, you revive it. So it's mindfulness, but pervaded. Every atom of mindfulness is with the atom of love. So it's so much better.
Yes, completely. Absolutely love that. Noful says, how do we know that we have inner peace?
Well, you are the first one to know. First of all is, okay, of course, sometimes we are so distracted by what's happening, or this whirlpool of activities, of sensory inputs, and we almost never look back. But sometimes you just stop and look within. What do you find? I was very moved and pained in a way. Once I met a woman in Switzerland. He said, when I look within, deep within, I find sadness. I didn't know what to say. Because if you find that at the very bottom of yourself, what to say, Of course you can give hope by expressing a different potential. So if you look deep within, beneath the whirlpool of thoughts and ups and downs of life, if you find a sense of serenity, of freedom, of strength, that we can say is kind of inner peace. And that can be cultivated as a skill. It's not a given that you'll always find sadness or always find peace. It depends what you nurture. If you keep on ruminating, thoughts about sad thoughts, I'm not worth it, and my world is not going well, and people don't love me much. Why me? Why not me? Then this will sort of, reinforce that sense of unsatisfaction, of sadness. But if you cultivate joy, compassion, the sense of inner freedom, then you build up a kind of resilience, so that with this, you are able to face the ups and downs of life with some kind of confidence. Things are not always nice in the outer circumstances, but if you have that freedom, then you are like someone who knows how to ride a bicycle or ride a horse, even if it's a bit tough terrain, you still keep your balance.
Yes.
And so that, I think, that kind of confidence that you can deal with the ups and downs of life, you have the inner resources to deal with the ups and downs of life, give you a sense of freedom and inner peace, that no matter what happens, you'll be fine. And it's not just a given. Maybe people are different disposition. It's a skill that you can cultivate through mind training.
I want to go back to talking about the book, and you have a chapter in there called Out of Sight, Out of Mind.
Yes.
And I wanted to just dive into that from your perspective, just to expand on that chapter.
When someone said if slaughterhouses had glass walls, 95% of people will stop eating meat, unless you are totally insensitive to suffering. You just could not stand being connected with that amount of suffering. The places where you might have 200,000 chickens in one big hole, there's a huge stench of ammonia it's almost unbreathable. They are on a mesh the size of a A4 size paper. They can't even walk. They never walk in outside under the sky on dry land in their life. When they are young, their beak is cauterized with the burning iron so that they don't fight each other. It's a hell for chicken. And there are 10 people taking care of that. And if sometime few chicken get sick, you cannot treat them individually, so wholesale, 100,000 chicken will be killed. It happened a few days ago in France. And then they start all over again. It's unbelievable. As I said, when they are stunned, say pigs and cows and so forth, then they are hanged by one leg on a rail that goes on. And then the next in the chain start cutting them or something. Sometimes they have not been stunned properly, about 10 to 15%. Still conscious when you do that, you cut them alive. So if we could see that, and that's linked to our taste for meat, then we would say, how can I do that? You will never do it yourself. And also it's so much unnecessary these days. Everyone knows, and the WHO report on the effect of regular meat consumption of human health, looking at 600 scientific studies conducted on 100,000 of people over 10, 15 years, has shown that this regular consumption is deleterious to human health. It's not even good. You can get plenty of proteins with non-meat products. Actually, there was a list of the 100 most used food in the world by the FAO, and looking at the protein contents. Guess what? The first meat is in 13th rank. Pig meat, pork meat is 22% of protein. Much higher than that, you have yeast, 45%, tofu, 35%, and even lentils and red beans have more protein with all the 13 essential amino acids, 27% than pork meat. Tuna then comes 18%, eggs 13%, milk is only 6%. So what's the hell? Why should we continue? It's not good for the environment. The industrial farming is the second cause of greenhouse gas effect emission after the building, before the transportation. It causes poverty in the world because millions of tons of grains are shipped to rich countries. They could feed over 1 billion people in poor countries where they produce those grains, which they can't eat because it serves to meat production. So this doesn't make sense. Everybody is losing. And the numbers of animals which are the first victim is staggering. 60 billion land animals killed every year for our use. 1,000 billion sea animals, that's 120 million per hour. And we don't blink. This is morally unsound.
I'm seeing a good question here coming up from James. He says, I feel compelled to try the vegan lifestyle. I hit a wall and relapse. How do I stay vegan?
Well, cook very delicious vegan food. Probably you eat some really unsavory stuff, some boiled vegetable, with a little bit of a green salad. There's so many delicious things with seitan, with smoked tofu. In China, although they are usually, on average, very cruel to animals, they eat dogs and they beat them to death because they say if you suffer a lot, the meat will be more delicious. So that's, wow. There are tiger farms, bear farms, anyway. But they are for sure delicious vegan restaurants because they know to make incredible variety of all different tastes and so forth. So there's plenty of good things you could do if you are you like gastronomy, and probably it's not for health reasons. Most vegan and vegetarian feel actually stronger, to the extent that there's a UK insurance company who give 20% rebate on life insurance to vegan and vegetarians. Oh, wow. So they know their staff and their numbers. So you actually are in better health. So it's probably a question of taste. People remember the taste of meat. So it takes a little time to get out of that. I mean, myself, after 45 years, I would be totally unable to eat this thing with blood and so forth. That's just feel disgusting to me. But most people, they can't stop because they like the taste. That's the survey has shown that. It's not because of health, ethical reason, it's because they love the taste. So that can be changed and make delicious things with wonderful ingredients, with spices and things, and to make a delicious vegan food is possible. I've eaten many of those.
Amazing. Tar says, I'm so going to get this book. Brilliant. I'm glad you are. It's definitely a really, really interesting read. One of the things I loved when I was flicking through the book this weekend is that it really dives into the science behind it and the moral reasons. And I think that having both of them in the same place is extremely unique and a wonderful thing to have. And you talk about how everyone is losing. Today you've talked about it, the environment, individually in terms of healthcare. Business, everything. There's actually no gain anywhere that you can see from your research.
It is really something that we need. In the book, I don't try to do the blame game, say you are so terrible, because myself, I didn't start as a compassionate person. I hope a little bit better now. But simply, here are the facts. Here are the facts about animal intelligence, for instance. About evolution, that everything went by step, by degrees. There's no magic sort of quantum leap that suddenly human becomes something totally different, nothing to do with the rest of animals' kingdom. This is not true. It's all matter of degrees. Look at intelligence. There was a wonderful study by a Japanese primatologist, Tetsuro Matsuzawa, who tested the faculty of bonobos compared to humans to memorize numbers. You see circles with numbers from 1 to 10 on the screen, and then the number disappear, and the bonobo has to do like that with his finger, and they get a treat. So the number appear for a few seconds, they disappear, and then they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in different orders. They vastly outperform the best, most brightest student with the best memory by 30%, faster and more accurate. There are Caledonian crows that can fashion hooks and tools, and human beings only started using hooks 30,000 years ago. Pigeon, if they are given reward, they can distinguish between a Picasso and a Manet painting without fail.
Wow.
On a photo with a landscape and sometimes a human or no humans, they can immediately pick it up and they pick on that and they get the reward. So if they are so close in terms of emotion, in terms of intelligence, and suddenly we say, oh, those are like machines, they don't feel anything, we can, a pig is just no more than a sausage machine, let's go for it. This doesn't make sense. It's just, you have to use reason and imbue reason with compassion. That will help.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. These are great, great answers. We've got Matthieu here for a few more minutes. I definitely wanted to talk to you a bit about the science of the mind. Yes. Because you do talk about that in your 2 previous books and in your TED Talk. You talk about finding happiness. I wanted to talk to you about this specific thing. This is something that definitely perplexes lots of people. We hear a lot that one of our biggest causes for unhappiness is our focus on ourselves, and that there needs to be a focus on others and helping others. Where does the balance between self-preservation and selflessness, how does that work for happiness?
Okay. First of all, to wanting good for oneself is nothing to do with selfishness. This is actually the basis for compassion for others. if I look deep within myself and I see, of course I don't want to suffer. I would really like if I could find a way to flourish, be fulfilled, sense of gratification and happiness. This is the most normal aspiration. So if we don't have that, we need to generate that for ourselves. Like we could say compassion for oneself or wanting good for oneself, not in a selfish way. Now, once you have identified that, you can see, others, of course, they also don't want to suffer. They also want to find happiness. Now, what you mentioned is about exacerbated self-centeredness. Me all day long. And that, you're in that bubble of self-centeredness, which is very stuffy. Everything becomes like a storm in a glass of water. And then the whole world can rise as an enemy or a potential instrument to your well-being. So completely self-centered, me. You feel miserable. This is not a comfortable state, and everyone thinks, what a pain this guy is. So it's a lose-lose situation. Now, if you fill with benevolence, trust, kindness, and then, also you don't have to be passively, utilized by others. You can be strong and firm, but basically benevolent. This is a very satisfactory state of mind. People will perceive you in a positive way, and this is attuned to reality. Because selfishness, imagine that we are separate entities. It's not the case. We're all interconnected. While compassion and altruism recognize that we are interconnected. So it's going to be functional. So excessive selfishness doesn't function, makes you miserable, makes everyone upset. So it's not a good situation. That's why.
Yeah. That's a wonderful way of looking at it. Thank you so much. Rajita, I'm from Kathmandu, Nepal. We're celebrating a big festival, Dashain, these days. Yeah. The festival is known for eating meat, worship Hindu goddesses. We have a very old ancient culture here by sacrificing animals in Hindu temples.
Dear. Please know that if he's a all-loving God, why should he be happy that you sacrifice and make suffer his own creatures? Like a mother, how can she rejoice if you kill their children? Please exert compassion. No, don't make offering to God through suffering and death.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this quote we put up on social media when we heard you were coming in, and we were so excited to have you. And this quote attracted a lot of attention on social media. So in this quote, you say, "We try to fix the outside so much, but our control of the outer world is limited, temporary, and an illusion."
Yeah, the world is not a mail order catalog for your fancies and desires.
Right. So the world's not Amazon then. It can't be like Amazon. Yeah.
Especially not free Amazon.
Yes.
So that means that of course you want to improve outer conditions, live in freedom, access to education, fulfill your aspiration. Great. In health, out of conflict, not in a totalitarian system. But in the end, it is your mind that translates the outer world into happiness or misery. You can be miserable in dull paradise and quite feel full of joy of living even in adverse circumstances. So your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So yes, we should improve outer conditions, but never underestimate the power of mind to eclipse those outer conditions. So please identify and nurture the inner conditions for flourishing and well-being, which are compassion, inner freedom, inner peace. So this can be cultivated. So then you go together, improving outer condition and nourishing the inner condition for genuine happiness.
Amazing, absolutely brilliant. Noful, you said, what do you suggest for attaining inner peace in the present world? What do you suggest?
I think that altruism and compassion is the best way. Because, if you face with difficult people, and some people say, well, how can I be compassionate if people are obnoxious to me and all that? So, first of all, if you are open, benevolent, free from hatred and animosity, in the best case, that will sort of disarm their aggressivity. At some point, you cannot clap with one hand, you need two hands. So if they keep on clapping, they get tired. So sometimes you say, this guy is a good person, why should I continue to be so aggressive? So that's the best scenario. Even in the worst case, that person's still obnoxious and all that. So then at least by not playing the same game of becoming aggressive and full of animosity, resentment and anger, at least you preserve your own dignity, your own inner peace, you don't fall in the same trap. This, escalation. The Buddha said if hatred replies to hatred, hatred will never cease. And Gandhi said, if we apply eye for eye, tooth for tooth, the world will be soon blind and toothless. So the best way is always to be benevolent, and then if it happens that others change, good. If they don't, at least you don't sacrifice your own inner peace. Some people say, how can you dare spending so much time for animals with so much suffering for human beings? This is a silly idea, because to stop harming animals doesn't stop you any moment to bring benefit to human beings. And in our case, with our organization Karuna Sechen, we work in India, Tibet, and Nepal for our Nepali friend. And last year, in the field of education, social services, and health, we could benefit 400,000 people.
Amazing.
And in the earthquake in Nepal, my dear Nepalese friend, we helped 200,000 people in 600 villages. And we are going on, and we need help for that. So if you're interested, Karuna Sechen, go for it. That's how we do for human beings. And we also include animals, so one is not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. No, that's wonderful. And those are staggering numbers of people being helped as well. I really hope that you've enjoyed our discussion today. Remember, we were talking from A Plea for the Animals by Matthieu Ricard. You can buy that. The link is in the comments section right now. Have a look. Take a look at it if you really found today's conversation interesting. We dive into each of these topics much deeper in the book. And also, if you'd like to see Matthieu Ricard live in New York, Saturday, November 5th, he is here at the Open Center, so you can take a look at the Open Center for more details in New York if you are interested in seeing him live. Thank you so much.
And one more thing. If you're interested in meditation, we did a little courses online called Imagine Clarity. So everything about focused attention, compassion, loving kindness, we try to make some simple and lovely instructions.
There we go. It's all there. So if you want to learn how to meditate, I am going to ask for Matthew to come back, because one of the things we didn't get to do today was a live meditation session with all of you.
Time.
So next time he is here, I'm going to request him to do that. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the discussion today, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Remember, you can find us at HuffPost Rise. Give the page a like, share, and invite your friends as well so that they can connect to this message. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming in again. Very grateful to have you, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much. See you later, guys.